In this video, I want to cover everything you need to know when it comes to round robin calendars. If you're unfamiliar with that concept, all that it means is when you have multiple people that you kind of want to bounce off and reassign appointments to, this is how you can do that automatically, where it presents one calendar and people can choose whichever time works best for them, and then it'll assign it to the appropriate user. Let's dig into it. Let's go ahead and create a round robin calendar, which is typically what I recommend for a sales process because it is designed to maximize availability. And so, you could call it a discovery call or whatever you call that first point of interaction there. And we can, or a demo call sometimes, whatever the first point of interaction with your sales team or demo team is, we can walk through all we have to offer. And then you select your team members. So this is designed, it is designed either to optimize or minimize availability, but it's just designed to consider the calendars of multiple people. And so for sales, it's usually maximizing. And then we've got a URL here. Once again, it's got to be custom. And so let's go brand-sales-team. And similar to the personal booking, we have our kind of like quick phase here. So we saw the deep dive on the personal booking. I'm going to do the quick build out here for the round robin, but because it's round robin, so it creates the calendar, but that's actually kind of incomplete for us. And so we're going to need to go to edit the calendar because there's some critical things that are set inside of the calendar here that apply mostly to a group setting. And so one of those is the actual meeting location here. And so depending on who it is, you have the extra factor of priority. You can actually set higher priority or lower priority for different sales team members. And what that's going to do is if they're both available, let's say at noon, both of them have an opening there, it's going to, if someone chooses noon, they don't know who they're meeting with, it's going to book onto the higher priority more often than the lower priority. If they're set to equal priority, then it kind of is just an equal weighting there. But this doesn't, we'll just talk through here. You have the option to optimize for availability or optimize for equal distribution. My recommendation is optimize for availability. If you optimize for equal distribution, what ends up happening is upon every refresh of the calendar, a different person's availability is shown. This isn't ideal in a sales context because you might have one person who's fully booked out and another person who's got a ton of availability. And what you don't want is a lead or a prospect to come to the calendar and think you have no available slots when in fact you do have a ton of available slots. It's just with a different team member that just wasn't chosen on this refresh. And so we typically optimize for availability. We do occasionally set priorities depending on who's performing best. And that's what allows you to do that here. We do have some more, I'm going to try to focus on the settings that are unique that we haven't already covered. And so we have some advanced settings here. These are unique to the round robin process here. So you can actually reassign through round robin when they reschedule, or you can keep the same appointment owner. So if someone reschedules, should it be given to whoever's available at the time that they want based on whatever priority you have, or should they stay with the original person? We typically reassign. That's just what we do. And then your other thing is for a new appointment, do you want to book with the assigned user? And you see it's gonna limit the availability there. So if someone returns, do you want to sort of like similar to the logic of optimize for equal distribution, only show one person's availability there? Or do you want to continuously say all of these slots are available, reassign them, and just, kind of go with the luck of the draw here. But so if you're doing user assignment, which would be through separate logic, and this is where you can get into advanced round robin rules inside of workflows and automations there, that's when you might want to have them book with the assigned user. So it's going to show the assigned user's calendar instead of maximizing for availability there. And hopefully I'm not getting too confusing here, but you can actually set rules inside of workflows where round robin preferences might be like, I want 80% of the appointments to go with person A, and 20% of the appointments go with person B. In that scenario, to enact that in the calendar, you would actually first assign them a user through the automation, and then you would turn on the preference here to book them with their assigned user rather than just letting them book with as much availability as possible. I'm telling you, from our perspective, we don't run those rules, but I do know there are scenarios and situations where you might want to enact that kind of logic. I'm going to go through these quickly and just focus on the ones that apply specifically to round robin. Otherwise, the settings are the same to what we've covered before. And so here's one specific to round robin is you can allow them to actually choose their staff member. So a good example of this is when someone's in a service industry where they sort of have their preference. They have their esthetician who they like, they have their barber who they prefer. And so allowing them to actually select their staff would be part of the earlier process where they're choosing this is who I want to book with, and then they're basically seeing that person's calendar. So it simplifies the calendar management process because I can have all of the team members on there for book a haircut, but it allows them to now say like, oh, I actually want to have Jessica cut my hair. And so that's something specific to the round robin option. And so you don't have to have 5 different individual calendars. You can have one sort of team calendar, a round robin calendar, and then just open up the option for people to book with a specific team member or staff member. And I believe that's it for round robin calendars. Like I said, all the settings that we covered for personal booking calendar are the same there. I hope this was helpful for you when it comes to understanding calendars. If you don't mind, smash that like button. It means a ton to the channel. But if you want, this is part of a larger segment I did, a complete deep dive into all things calendars. So if you're in that zone, ready and willing to learn everything that HighLevel has going on, I'm going to actually let you have that video right over here.